All right, how you doing, guys? Thanks for tuning in to Mysteries of the Unknown. I'll be your host, J.S. Moore. So, in the past 2 days, I've done personal readings for President Donald John Trump, President-elect Joseph Robinette Biden, as well as Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. So someone asked me if I'm going to read for Mike Pence. Now, this would really get Mike's underwear in a wad, I'm sure, but I've never cared about getting someone's underwear in a wad. So, let's read for Mike Pence, who is also a Gemini. He was born in 1959 or 60, I think 59, I believe, June the 7th. Of course, Trump was born 14th of June. Okay. Yeah, June 7th and June 15th have both been in the White House for nearly 4 years now. All right, so wherever the twins end up is, let me get something here. It's what card deck we're going to pull from. So, all right, Vice President Pence, here we go. All right, use our Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I'll get back there. Yeah, there we go. Good. Try to do short readings. You may wonder why a lot of times when I'm reading, you'll see my hand here, but you won't see my other hand. It's because that hand is above me here. It's kind of like the magician card, as above, so below, and that goes back to several different teachings, the Greeks. Of course, it's in the Bible as well. At any rate, as above, so below. All right, here's our green man on the outside looking in. Like a Aaron Lewis lyric there. Let's lay out a piece of paper. And we're reading for Gemini, Vice President Mike Pence. How's everybody doing today? November 22nd, 2020. I hope this finds your family safe. Hope you're masking up. I hope you got a plan for the holidays. It's going to be unlike any other holiday season that we've had on record. Couldn't imagine what this was like in 1918 during the Spanish or the swine flu. Here we have our Six of Pentacles. This to me is, and it's reversed, if you have, give. And it is reversed. So we show that generosity is lacking when it comes to Vice President Pence. You know, if they would even put it to a vote in the Senate, even if there was a tie, it would be up to Vice President Pence to break that tie. And, you know, this holdout on stimulus is not doing anyone any good except for the elites out there. But the stimulus money, if it wasn't held out, would help the economy, and it would make those rich fat cats richer. Of course, they know that. It's just they don't want people to always be relying on a handout. But, you know, it's not a handout when people are dying, people are struggling to make their bills, people are literally scraping to get by right now. So many people are now out of work because of COVID-19. And because of losing their jobs, many of them will not have access to health care like before. Um, the Supreme Court, the last little over a week, yeah, let's not go there. All right, so Mike Pence, you're a hoarder. You are not someone who gives unless it's to someone in your immediate proximity. But I don't see you as being a generous person at all. The high priestess, okay? There's a duality there, so it's always a choice, but your intuition is a little bit different than others in that, here we are, someone that's not being generous, not passing or helping to make the stimulus money come or the help or relief. Your administration, and Trump's administration has done very little the past 6-7 months for the American people. And as far as from what I'm seeing here, there's a shift in the balance for sure. You're supposed to be an anchor. You're supposed to be a kind of a counterweight to the president, but you've not done that. You've been a yes man, a go along, and that's unfortunate. But interesting. So, it really upsets people when someone says something that contradicts what they think about someone. I actually don't see people really being Mike Pence fans so much as Donald Trump's fans. It seems like Trump fans, really, like he said, he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. And that's what he's doing right now. And you, Mr. Pence, are an enabler, unfortunately. Um, from what I'm seeing here, there's a little bit of a pattern. Let's see if this continues. We'll probably pull 7 to 9 cards, probably 9. But let's look. All right, we definitely have a choice to make when it comes to the situation with our finances and helping others. There appears 2 directions. You're juggling this, and maybe internally you are questioning whether you all are doing the right thing. So it is kind of a balancing act, but you have a part to play in this just as much as the president. Yeah, it's if you have ambitions to run in 2024, maybe it's a time for you to be an actual leader because I don't see that you've led at all. You've headed this coronavirus task force, and yeah, what a disappointment. I would have thought you were capable of better than being a yes man or a go along. But here we have a choice. There's definitely a choice still in the air, a choice whether to encourage Trump to concede and begin this transition of power. This hasn't happened before in United States history. I'm a history major, so I would know. At any rate, I know that 150 years ago, the presidential races weren't decided in a week. Usually would take about a month. I do understand that, but at the same time, we've come so far, and your party, the Digression Party, they're not progressives at all. They want to go back, and they even say that in the logo, that red and white, "Make America Great Again." It makes me think that the civil rights movement, woman's suffrage, ultimately slavery. You want to go back in time and get rid of all this progress that has been made. Roe v. Wade, that's progress. We have free will. This country is founded upon everyone having a choice. We don't say you have to be of this faith. We have a freedom of religion. We don't say don't speak. We have freedom of speech, the Bill of Rights, and these qualities in our government and our Constitution is what has always made America great. But where it says a more perfect union, um, you know, that in itself is a paradox because perfect doesn't need improving. But I think that they recognized that, yeah, as time went on, changes would have to be made, amendments, things like that. But I look at the two-party system as a failure anyway, unfortunately. But here you have a choice. Are you going to do the right thing? You know, I don't know if you have that tickling and tug at your heart, because when I've heard you speak, you spew hatred, you spew the typical rent a pew mentality, and you have been a go along with this president. King of Cups. So here with our King of Cups, this would typically show a mastery of having empathy, and this may just be the reverse of your counterpart Trump, because maybe you do have the ability to express empathy and understanding and genuine love. That may be just around the people that are closest to you, your family, that type of thing. It's not a way for me to tell, but given here where this is reversed, you're not a very generous person. You kind of pass folks by that you otherwise could have helped. You trust your intuition. I don't see you having so much intuition, unfortunately. Your instinct tells you that you have to follow your party, and right now your party is blindly following Trump off of a ledge. And yeah, I've read for you all every day in some capacity, and the Tower card almost always comes up. The Six of Swords does as well, which means someone's leaving the country, perhaps, or planning a trip, or an escape, and a cataclysmic change or shift. Hopefully that isn't this coup that's going on right now, because the American people, the vast majority, does know what you all are doing. Is it right? Hail to the no. All right, here you are, the Tower. There you have it. So I'll go ahead and round the world this here. So we're in upheaval because these choices that your party's made, and this free and fair election, there's no fraud that's proven, no instances of widespread fraud at all. There have been nearly 30 cases that have been dismissed from the courts because there is no merit to what's going on. You put our country in such a volatile state. You make us weak, and if a foreign power or adversary wanted to swoop in the next 2 months, now would be the time. I think about that movie Red Dawn from the 1980s, and I don't think North Korea is really a threat. North Korea is kind of that play, a mouse that roared. But when it comes to Russia and China, these two powers, and if they were to collaborate with some other entities, and Iran's not even part of that equation, I'm telling you. Iran, the only reason you all want to be there and maybe would want to strike Iran before the inauguration is because all of a sudden Trump might have an excuse to not turn over the reins. But, if you all were going to do that, you would have done it when John Bolton was in there as your national security advisor or defense, whatever he was. And he himself is even speaking against John now. So really, you're destroying the Republican Party and the fabric of the United States as well. I look at the United States as this beautiful quilt, and little by little, the past 4 years, you've been just tearing apart the threads to where there's hardly anything left. Maybe the batting is going to be left when you all get done with it, and that's sad. It's really sad. The Tower almost always comes up when I read for you all. Around the world. All right, we've got our reversed Three of Pentacles. There we are again with this actually would signify a celebration, but it's in reverse. So Inauguration Day, you've got that upended. That's what that tells me there. And Wall Street also is enabling you. The powers that be, of course, that is definitely going to include the banks. they enable you all as well, or they would be more vocal than they are or have been. It's sad right now. If you all would just do the right thing, and it's very rare that you've done that in the last 4 years. Um, if I swore a lot, and I do sometimes, um, inside, my heart hurts for what you've done to our country. And yeah, I call you all P.O.S.s, which means piece of shits. So because you are, deep down, and you know it, P.O.S., you got your point of sale, you're making these transactions, you all are getting rich, your fat cats are getting rich, your wallets are getting richer, you're not helping people, you're definitely hurting the country. We have that tower, that shift, and it's not reversed. There's definite upheaval there, and pretty much you're ignoring 55% of the population. Last I checked, this is an advertised democracy. Yeah, you'll say it's a republic, but in essence, the vote matters. The Electoral College matters. All these things matter, and you've got all these different routes to upend our election and pretty much spit in the face of the United States populace as a whole. I almost view this, and in the next month or so, I think the word treason is going to come out as well. But yeah, it's treasonous what your party is doing. Um, Lamar Alexander is a senator here where I live in this state, and I had a lot of respect for him until recently, because it seems like he and Corker and all them, they don't get any testicles or testicular fortitude until they're leaving office. And Alexander, unfortunately, I think he's had both of his removed as of late. And yeah, well, we'll see what Haggerty can do. I think he's going to be his replacement. And he might be like a Marsha Blackburn, which is sad. At any rate, all right, heartbreak. Here we have our three of hearts. And yeah, it is definitely heartbreaking what your party is doing. The disregard for human life, disregard for the science. And, this pandemic has devastated this country. And you all are saying that it's rounding the turn when the death rate is increasing. I had it August the 1st through about the 14th. About 3 days I couldn't taste, couldn't smell, had a fever, and then it subsided. And even now I have severe fatigue. I'll walk up 20 steps and I'll just be out of breath. And I've never been that way before. I could hike 15 miles before, and the only thing I would have to do is change my socks once. But I'm lucky to walk 2 miles and not be winded, ready to stop. But it's heartbreaking what your party's done, what you've done. And yeah, and let's see what we got here. Overall, wow. All right, so here we have our 10 of Pentacles. And this shows success. Now, because this is your card, yeah, you may view this as success, that your bank account's grown and your buddies' bank accounts have grown, and you may see this as something very special. Overall, POS. POS alert. These folks in the White House that aren't going to peacefully transfer power, they're upending our government, spitting in the face of democracy. They're not generous. Inauguration is upended. It's heartbreaking. It doesn't break your heart, Vice President Pence, POS. You have this choice, and you're making the wrong choice. Otherwise, the Tower card wouldn't be there. All right. Here we have our Three of Wands. In summary, and looking out at the future, the conclusion is not there. No one can predict what's going to happen. I can only tell you that we all have choices. We have free will, who we align ourselves with, the things we hold precious. I want to remind you, Vice President Pence, in the 60s when you started school, do you remember saying, "I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all"? In the mid-60s was the height of the Civil War, or the civil rights protests, civil rights acts on the way. And in essence, JFK was murdered not only because he wouldn't give them a war in Vietnam, but also because he was empathetic and understood what the civil rights movement was about. His brother Bobby was a testament of that as well. No two individuals in the last millennia stood out more to me as far as the Caucasian race goes than the Kennedys. Of course, you had Malcolm X, who's a little more extreme than your Martin Luther King. But Malcolm X, if you study what he actually believed, I mean, he had it figured out. And of course, that's why they killed him as well. And Martin Luther King Jr., what a bright, shining light he was. What a great speaker he was. But you, Mike Pence, the P.O.S. that you are, and you know it. When you look in the mirror, there's just a steaming pile looking back at you. But your party and this blind following of President Trump is upending our nation. Isn't it time? Isn't it time, Mr. Pence, to grow some balls and do the right thing? Thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. I've been your host, J.S. Moore, with Mysteries of the Unknown. Have a great one.